Welcome back. Let me introduce you our new speakers. Starting from far right, Johannes Holzmüller, head of FIFA's Football Technology Innovation Department. Massimo Busacca, director FIFA Referring. Pierluigi Collina, chairman of FIFA Referees Committee. Zvonimir Boban, deputy secretary general. Lucas Brud, secretary of IFAB. David Ellery, technical director at IFAB, and Mr. Professor Werner Elsen, who is from University of Leuven, who has conducted the research that has been very, very useful and discussed during the meeting. And we suggest that we start with you, Professor, to have a kind of universitarian statement, please.
Okay, thank you, Fabrice. Ladies and gentlemen, the past 1.5 years, we worked very hard to analyze approximately 1,000 matches just to address the question, does the implementation of the VAR improve the game? Basically, we had 3 research questions. The first was about accuracy. Does the VAR improve the accuracy of decision-making? I couldn't have answered it better, as the FIFA president already did, because we could clearly see that from the initial accuracy of 93%, thanks to the VAR, we moved to 98.8, which is significant. As also mentioned by someone else, this means that from one clear error in 3 matches, we moved to 1 error in 19 matches. So I think in terms of accuracy, the results were very promising. The second basic question was regarding time. And I know this has been an issue lately that many people ask, doesn't it take too much time? Well, the average time of a check in the background is 20 seconds. And the average time of review on field is about 1 minute. The top 5 of time losses in professional football are, first of all, free kicks, throw-ins, goal kicks, corner kicks, and substitutions, which takes much longer than that 1 minute. Maybe one more point, and this is the third conclusion about the impact of the game with respect to fair play. Well, both for penalty incidents, red card incidents, and goals scored, there was a clear contribution of the VAR with respect to the red cards given and players punished in the very same game, and the same was true for the other basic incidents. Finally, we also had a number of questionnaires asking referees, coaches, and players about the impact of the VAR on the game, and obviously, and I think it is not surprising, that referees were maybe most positive about the VAR, followed by referees, by coaches on the second place, and finally players in the third place. So I think these are a few conclusions maybe to start with.
Thank you very much. Should we start with questions? Andy Warshaw. And then Ben Rusby again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Andrew Warshaw. Is it okay to ask David a question, or do you want me to wait on that? Can I ask David Ellery a question? Yeah. David, 2 points, please. Number one, there have been instances where the referee, particularly during the English experiment, has contacted the VAR official either before or instead of looking at the pitch side monitor. Can you explain to us if this is supposed to happen and why it's the case? The second question is, I notice on the press release, it appears that IFAB have added a very important clause that is, as well as clear and obvious errors, we now have, quote, serious missed incidents. Could you elaborate for us, please? Thank you.
Yes, very happy to deal with that. Firstly, if it appears that the referee has made a clear and obvious error or has missed something serious, he will be alerted by the VAR. The referee can then decide to review that incident, there's no requirement that he looks at the replay himself. So there are two types of review. One we call a VAR-only review, where the referee can make a decision based solely on the information from the VAR. Typically, this will be a factual decision. A player was offside. A penalty was awarded for handball, but the ball actually hit the player on the head. A free kick was given outside the penalty area, but in fact the offence took place inside the penalty area. So that's the VAR only. Where the decision is subjective, and our experience has shown that where a major decision is changed, the players tend to accept more the referee on the day going and looking at the replay himself and coming back and say, I got that penalty wrong. So the referee always has the option. Does he rely solely on the VAR, or does he decide to look at the replay himself? In terms of the second one, from the very first edition of the protocol, serious missed incidents were always part of the protocol. These relate primarily to situations not seen by the referee. Usually, this is violent conduct off the ball or away from play. So that hasn't been added today. That has always been part of the protocol, because people have said, if you can punish a player during the game for doing something extreme that was done away from the view of the match officials, then clearly we should be able to deal with that as a serious missed incident.
So, sorry, can I just ask a follow-up?
So does that mean, please, that if the VAR official indicates that there has been a serious missed incident, that can be reviewed or annulled? In other words, not just serious foul play, supposing there is a missed incident that is subsequently spotted. Can a whole match be replayed?
Sorry,
if there's an incident that has not been spotted, whether it's violent conduct or anything else, what happens thereafter if it is not actually looked at the time?
Then exactly the same happens as occurs now. The authorities will deal with that after the match.
Maybe just one more fact and figure. In case of a VAR-only decision, the time is just 35 seconds, which is even much less than an on-field review.
More questions for David, if I may. I asked the panel earlier whether they felt it would be a mistake if the Premier League did not introduce this next season. Do you think they would live to regret it? Do you have any plans personally, or are you aware of any plans to lobby the voters of the Premier League to try and win them rounds to VAR to ensure that that vote does go through? And just in terms of the protocol, there seems to be some desire for certain parts of VAR to come into English football, particularly factual decisions about offside goals and mistaken identity, but not to have the subjective in there. Why not allow competition organisers to do that in order so that they will then be more positively disposed to bring in the rest going forward? And then finally, in terms of communication, big screens, Martin Glenn said that we need to improve the communication. Will competitions be allowed under this protocol written into law today to show replays on the big screen, to show the fans in the stadium exactly what the VAR is looking at? Sorry, lots of questions.
Yeah, quite a lot of questions. Thank you. We would never presume to tell any competition what to do. Certainly, I have no doubt, as Martin Glenn said and the FIFA president said, that those members of the Premier League, like any competition, will weigh up very carefully the global picture that we have so far of VARs, and then decide whether now is the time for their competition to embrace it, or wait until the system has been refined anymore. So I think we wouldn't say it's a mistake. We leave it to them to make that decision. In terms of having an à la carte view of VARs, that does not exist. Today it was voted that the VAR protocol would be incorporated into the laws of the game, and as with every other aspect of the laws of the game, they are universal for every match played throughout the world at whatever level. So a competition, if it wants to gain approval and permission to use VARs from FIFA and from the IFAB, will have to conform completely to those decisions which can be reviewed and not decisions which cannot be reviewed. So there's no a la carte option. Your final part about communication, this is the one area where we all acknowledge more progress needs to be made. In the protocol, there will be options for competitions in certain organizational areas, and how you communicate to the fans what's happening will vary from country to country. We know already some countries show replays of incidents, some don't, and this will again potentially apply to VARs. Like, one of the areas you have to balance is giving the fans information, but how will that information affect fan behavior, coach behavior, player behavior? So this is quite a complex area, and again will vary from competition to competition.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I would like to try to clarify something to avoid any possible misunderstanding. With all the respect for the National Association and Confederation who would like to implement VAR, the final decision doesn't belong to them. They can make the application based on what was decided today by IFAB, but as quality comes first, we need the guarantee that the preparation program has been implemented properly by the National Association or Confederation before they go live. And this process, this preparation process, will be carefully monitored by IFAB and FIFA during the process and at the end of the process. And the final word will be an IFAB and FIFA word giving a sort of license to go live. Because, I repeat, we want a guarantee that the quality will be implemented. So it's not possible that someone decides from night to day to start. They have to fulfill all the criteria requested. These criteria will be monitored during the process, assessed during the process. At the end, it will be an evaluation. If the evaluation is positive, then they can go live in their competition. I think it's a guarantee. This is a guarantee that football needs, and we are ready to provide this kind of guarantee. And sorry, just to complete, because I was listening at the press conference before, and one of the questions that was put forward to the President Infantino was why UEFA is not starting with Champions League next season. I'm also the chairman of the referee committee of UEFA, so I have the responsibility of refereeing in UEFA. UEFA is simply saying that we are not ready. And this is a very honest assessment. How can we start in Champions League in 3 months or 4 months' time? How can we start the preparation today and be ready in August or September to start with playoff or the group phase? It won't be possible. We are realistic. We are concrete. And this is the answer given. We do not start next season simply because we need to go through the preparation of the European referees who will be appointed in Champions League. Some of them already operate with the VAR, like the Italians, like the Germans, the Portuguese. Some of other national associations already implemented partially, like Poland, like the Netherlands, like Belgium, like England. So they have some experience, but there are some without. So we need to prepare them. I repeat, it's something to guarantee that once the VAR will be implemented, it will be properly implemented to avoid possible mistakes. Sorry for interruption.
Question for either David, Pierluigi, or Massimo. Just on offsides, under the protocol, are all offsides considered to be clear and obvious, or is it only if a player is well offside? If, for example, if he's just centimetres offside, is that clear and obvious mistake or not?
It's a very good question. I think it depends on the accuracy of the technology that can provide the answer. Because in goal line technology, 0.5 centimeters is something that can be assessed by goal line technology, and an answer can be given. So if we have a technology that proves, I'm talking of course, positional offside. I'm not talking of interpretation. I'm talking of positional. So if we have a technology that gives us a final answer in terms of millimeters, this could be something that can prove that even a tiny offside is an offside. If we have not, certainly the assessment will be different.
Yes, Emanuele Saraceno for ANSA. Following the offside problem, it's the main problem of the VAR. If a linesman, an assistant referee, shows an offside and the player is not offside, that prevents a very good goal opportunity. So, Mr. Collina, Mr. Busacca, will you say to the referees before the World Cup, please don't use the flag, because even if the player is offside, then the VAR will show it, so it's better to leave. Yes, what will you give, which advices will you give to the referees?
Not only before the World Cup. It's something that has been already told the German referees, the Italian referees, the Portuguese referees. Certainly, if there is a doubtful offside situation and the assistant referee realizes that in a very, very short time a goal could be scored, is already now recommended to delay the flag, because, as you correctly said, if he raises the flag, he stops the play, and it could vanish a correct position, so a correct goal-scoring opportunity. So it's much better to delay the flag until there would be a goal, because we know that after a goal has been scored, we can check, and if there was an offside position, the goal can be disallowed. So it is already something given in terms of instruction to assistant referees.
Probably there is something more to add, and this is also a very important information, because it's a scenario that can happen. We can have in a situation, because, you know, this is a new way to decide, and as today is clear, it takes time. So since we implement VR, we start an incredible preparation with the referees, especially with the assistant referee, that normally they use not to create a doubt in the situation. And in case of doubt, they already play on. So changing now what they did since many years, of course, is not easy. But they already have the criteria in case of doubt to play on. What will happen, or what can happen, is that in some situation, the assistant can even raise the flag near the goal, because for him he was sure. But what can happen, that the referee can delay the whistle and not whistle. So what will important that, as also the law say clear, before you don't listen the whistle, you don't have to stop. At that moment, you have a goal or no goal, and then, of course, if it's a goal, you will review. But I think your question was pertinent. This is the instruction we are giving to the assistant, but it's what they are doing today. In case of doubt, keep the flag down.
We have Philippe Sommer.
Yeah. Hi. I have a question for Zvonimir Boban. Zvonimir, if the VR will be assessed or will be implemented in the World Cup, we talked about a lot of problems still ongoing. Martin Glenn said, for people in the stadium, of course, it's a problem sometimes that they don't know what's going on, what's even investigated. Also for people at home, at some stages, it was visible at the Confederations Cup too. Do you have a solution for that already?
But actually, we're talking only about the problems, not about the advantages of the VR. So when you have a, I don't know, 98% errors corrected, and then you have one problem with speaking just about that. This is a problem of our age, I believe, and also of the media system of the general area in which we are living. So sometimes loudest authors just underlining the problems, they creating to us the problems to reach them with the real and correct information, with the facts. I believe that before we heard from the Professor Werner from the analysis, fantastic numbers. I believe that you should be really pleased with these numbers. So the decision, I turn into the decision, then I will respond to your question. Was taken really with great elaboration, respecting hugely yourself, the game, the fast, everyone. So, believe me, it was a tough decision to take, yes, but after the result that we had, it was even easy to go forward. So, about Russia, yes, I believe that here in this, we have much better people to respond to your question. Here's Johannes, Head of Technology Innovation of FIFA, so he can take over.
Thank you, Zvonimir. To answer your question, we're working in the background, of course, for the scenario that we will use VAR at the World Cup. And one of the elements is that we developed a kind of VAR information system. That means that there's an instant information going from the VOR, from the video operations room, directly to the main stakeholders, including, of course, to infotainment, the part responsible for the giant screen in the stadium, but also to the main broadcasters and commentators, that everyone is informed about factual information immediately. That means when a review is taking place, what is the reason for the review, what is the outcome for the review. So this is at the moment in the final developing phase, together with our broadcasters and together with different departments within FIFA. Sorry. Could you please? Yes, we tested it already at the FIFA Club World Cup. I think you can even Google for it. So where you have already the information, for example, no goal offside. So this is the idea. We are, as said, it's in the final developing phase, and we are quite sure if it's approved for the World Cup, if you're using at the World Cup, that we will have a very good system in place for all the different stakeholders.
We have Andrew Warshaw, Oleg from TAS, Graham Dunbar, and the final question would be for Ben Ramsby.
Yeah, two more quick ones, one for Pierluigi and the other for David. Pierluigi, you said that you were perfectly comfortable with UEFA not implementing VAR in the Champions League because they didn't have enough time to prepare. But surely the World Cup is an even bigger competition, and they seemingly do have time to prepare. Could you answer that, please? And David, can I ask you a question that Marsha asked at the previous press conference? How many matches will those who undertake VAR at the World Cup have to have under their belts beforehand, given that this average of 55 seconds per decision seems to be brilliant in an ideal world, but doesn't exactly appear to be consistent? Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. Also, the second question is wrong. The second question is wrongly posed to David Elleray because it's not his responsibility, the World Cup. So maybe Massimo, just to share the answer, but if you wish, I can answer also the second. No, I'm perfectly comfortable. What has to be maybe explained, FIFA is not going to start tomorrow to work to prepare the VAR at the World Cup. Although the decision was not taken yet, we already started with the first tournament in December 2016. The Club World Cup in Japan was played with VAR, and before the World Cup 2016, we already run preparation for referees. So today is the 3rd, if I'm not wrong, of March 2018. We are working as FIFA. They were working because at that time I was not belonging to FIFA yet. So at that time, December 2016, they were already working with VAR. UEFA waited until the decision was taken. Today the decision is taken, so from now we might start preparing the future. So I repeat, I think it should be appreciated by those like you care of football that an honest and wise answer was given. We will start when we will be ready. It's a very honest answer.
So just to say something probably important, that all these candidates that start in this competition 2016 are those who are, let's say, in this group of elite referees already candidates for the World Cup. And after this competition, they continue the preparation, and all the candidates participate in under 20 with a very, very good results in South Korea, and then at the Confederation Cup. Then continuing, and we had a few important seminars, and in these seminars, we selected only those who today can give the guarantee to be a VR. Just to give a number, after the first seminar, in the 36 or 37 candidates participate, we can really say that only 8, 10 after this seminar could be ready, let's say, to be as a VAR at the World Cup. So on the second seminar, we didn't continue to practice with those who didn't give the guarantee. We say, okay, you will be a very good referee, but you cannot be a good VR. So we continue the preparation only with those that today can give the guarantee to be at the World Cup, because World Cup is not anymore an experiment. So we finish Doha only with those that are giving guarantee to be a VR as a top referee, plus all the specialists coming from the member association that they are doing regularly every weekend. And thanks to God, we will have a centralization system, and of course, you will see many of those referees repeating, let's say, more games. And this is, in fact, what we are doing. So now, in 10 days, we start the second seminar, and only those who are working well will continue, let's say, to practice as a VR. Because it's the new way to decide. It's not because you are a top referee, you can be also a good VR. So it depends on the reaction, on the understanding. So that's why we need only, really, this guarantee. And this is what we are looking for.
A question too.
55 seconds.
I'll deal with that later.
Question to Johannes, as you mentioned, FIFA is working on scenario that VR will on the World Cup. So when will be the system installed on 8 Russian stadiums which were not the venues for the Confed Cup? And should it be done up to official testing games? Who will pay for installation, and what will be after? Will it be a good present for Russia from FIFA?
So I can answer the questions about the technology, about payment and legacy. I have forwarded the question to Zvonimir Boban. Regarding technology, so scenario that we have at the moment, what we are planning and preparing is that we have a centralized video operations room in Moscow. But we also plan with backups in every stadium, just to be sure in case of any, and as we all are aware, technology can always fail, just to be 100% sure that we always have a backup, that we will have also a VR room as a backup in each stadium. So this is the plan for the World Cup. We are finalizing it at the moment with the different technology providers, but everything should be in place for the World Cup. And of course, as it is very important, as we also did for the implementation for goal line technology, it's also important for us to test every installation at the end. So we will have tests in every stadium before the kickoff of each first match in every stadium. So as of the 10th of June, we will step by step then go through the different stadiums and test the equipment, the technology for VAR.
About the present for Russia, we didn't tackle this question. I believe that we can agree. We can agree on this somehow, but we have to speak with the Russian Federation in order to understand the situation. But they are, what Lucas Brud, Secretary General of IFAB, said to me, they are very interested in implementation of the VR there, so probably the system of the system, I'm not so technological, I will stay, should stay there. Yes.
Just finish, was mentioned before by the President 2 days ago. I don't know if some of you were there in Sochi during the team workshop, and I had a couple of hours presentation with all the 32 representatives going to the World Cup. And one of the last topic we discussed, because the previous topic were not related with VR, because as you probably understood today, VR is not the most important topic for us. We are not investing only in VR. It means that today we have only VR. No. VR will be part of our decision, but we are going to develop and continue to take important decisions as a first and as a last. So that's, for that reason, we are going to prepare the referee in the best way. So we talk with the coach, and we say after the final whistle in Brazil, we start immediately to work for the next World Cup. And then at the last topic, we say we will have VR, and we show a couple of clips to say this is what it can happen in your game. We show a couple of clips under 20 that a decision could eliminate a team with 20 centimeters offside, but the team could continue in the competition, so made history, 20 centimeters. And then at the end of the presentation, all the 32 coaches, let's say, were convinced that VR should be used at the World Cup. They are really happy it will be. And then we finished, we went outside, one of the coaches said, Massimo, come here. I want to say something. Say, we know, be realistic when you talk. We know that VR today is like a baby. And they say, but baby is better to have. Because a baby can even help on something really important. And this was the answer. And this is what really coaches think today to prepare the most important competition we have in sports. That even one decision, and you remember all the scandal it happened in the past, only one decision can really change a lot in an important competition coming every 4 years. Only this. And that was the answer from the coaches.
Maybe it's good to say, if I would in their position, I would be very happy with the VR, a possibility to use it. For example, you have the best referees, you should choose the best referees for the best matches. As you have a man, then black man, that is called like this, doing very well in 93 minutes. Then in 1 second, what can occur for normal reasons and some human error, and then he should be paying it. He should pay the price. And you would then harm all the game. You would harm even tournament competition in not having possibility to deploy this referee in for the best matches. So this is a big protection, really, not only for the referees, but only for the game itself.
Graham Dunbar from the AP. To begin with, I can answer one of Massimo's questions regarding the presentation to the World Cup teams in Sochi. My colleague Rob Harris was there, but the media was barred from the room. We were not allowed to listen to the presentation to the on VAR to the teams.
We are thinking to do, when we arrive in Russia, because it's very important that you know all the information, because we want to be transparent. So you will see the exact information we gave to the teams, because you have to know also how things are working. Yeah. So, as we did in the previous World Cup. So, say to you all the information.
Yeah. The main question, again, to Massimo and Pierluigi as well, just a problem that could be particular to the World Cup, because in a national domestic league, I don't think this would be a problem, but at the World Cup where, you know, without being rude to certain countries, you can look down the list of referees, and the players and the media and the fans will probably identify a few where they would wonder how many high-stress, high-scrutiny games some of those referees have been involved in. You've always said from the start of this project, you don't want to undermine the authority of the referee who's on the field with the players. But isn't the reality with some of those countries, when you've got players who are, the majority who probably play in Europe, in Champions League, they know where the referees come from. They know that the Uber VAR in the box is probably going to come, it could come from France or Italy with more experience. Aren't they going to think that the referee has given some of his authority to that European VAR in the command center and has ceded control a little bit of the decision making, and the players are going to see this system and are going to, maybe not consciously, but just lose a little bit of respect for the player, for the referee on the field. And this is a problem that's built into the World Cup, not so much in national leagues.
If I were to pay too much for the copyrights to David Elleray, so I can use some words used at the beginning. The on-field review, so the referee looking at himself, the decision, when there was possibly a mistake, is just because of this reason. Because he has to be felt by players on the field of play like the final decision maker. So if he is the one who goes to the monitor, checks the images, and then goes back and makes the final decision, he is the one who's making the decision. Differently, if you would see someone standing with a finger at the earpiece, listening at someone else, the perception you have is someone who's playing with a joystick, maneuvering from outside. And the perception would be the decision is taken by someone who possibly is more experienced and so on. This is what we want to avoid. We want to have the referee perceived as the final decision maker. Of course, on interpretation, because an half meter offside, positional, even my granddaughter can say this is offside. So you don't need to rewatch the incident by yourself. But when it's a matter of interpretation, it's much better that the final assessment is made by the referee himself through the on-field review, and at the end, he overrules or confirms his initial decision. Because after an on-field review, the referee can keep the decision because he doesn't find anything wrong in what he has seen on the images. I hope you don't bill me too expansively, David.
No,
doesn't cost too much.
I think just to support that, one of the statistics Professor Helson gave us was the reaction of players, coaches and referees to the VAR experiment. And one question was about the authority of the referee, and it came across very clearly that players and coaches didn't feel that VAR had undermined the authority of the referee. So it's not at the moment within our trials seen as something which undermines the referee's authority.
The last question for Ben Rumsby.
Hi, it's question three questions. One to Johannes, first of all, just to clarify, the system that you're working on, the information system, that will definitely not involve replays, video replays of VAR incidents on the big screen, so we can say now categorically that those video replays will not be at the World Cup. I just want to clarify that. One for Massimo on the readiness of referees at the World Cup. Well, I think one of the big fears in England is we are going to witness the kind of scenes that we saw at the Tottenham-Rochdale match on Wednesday, and we've seen at other matches where there's long delays, where the players are complaining, where the crowd are left in the dark. Can you promise fans that your referees and your VARs will be so well drilled that they're not going to have those kinds of scenes at the World Cup? And then finally, one for David, completely off topic. What's going on with the handball rule that we heard a year or two ago was being revisited?
I can start.
You want to start?
Yeah, I want to start because, you know, I want to compare referee team like every football team. If you have today an important coach, you say, what will be the results at the World Cup? You will arrive to the final? You will win the World Cup? So say, I will try. I'm doing many sacrifices. I'm working really hard. I'm explaining the players how they have to do. You show the tactical approach. But not every time the players will understand the tactical, and then they will lose 1-0. So this is football. I think the president mentioned that we cannot be perfect. I can give you a guarantee that we are doing all our best to permit to this World Cup to finish on the right way and to make all the sacrifice and to give all the opportunity to the referee to prepare this competition on professional way. Then, and we are very positive, and referee normally is positive, and that's why we accept this challenge, is because we are convinced that our referee are intelligent and are understanding what they have to do. But then I cannot give you a guarantee 100%, as any coach can give you a guarantee that is going to win every game. He will promise that he's going to, you know, prepare very hard to explain exactly all the details, but then he can even lose 1-0. So this is football and this is sports. We are preparing well, but who knows?
Regarding the other question about the replays, so what we have tested at the FIFA Club World Cup and what is our idea at the moment is that after the final decision is taken by the referee on the pitch, that we would like then also to show in the stadium the replay, the selected replay that was used by the referee and by the VAR. So we also tested it already at the FIFA Club World Cup in Abu Dhabi.
May you explain the lines already?
The lines?
No, the wrong lines that we had in England, maybe it's not bad.
Lucas, you want to add something?
Regarding, yeah, probably an additional information about the offside line. So we also, of course, worked on finding the best providers and also tested a lot regarding offside lines. And we know that especially in some countries, and here to name England, that this also created some confusion in the past. So just to be very clear what happened in England, and I think you're all aware that the VAR received the right lines, but then what was provided to the broadcaster was created the confusion at the end. So also for us, it was an important incident because we realized the entire infrastructure again, because we have a similar infrastructure in place probably for the World Cup. So it was quite important for us, this incident, to make sure that we have the right lines and calibrated virtual offside line at the end available as a tool for the VARs and for the referee to clearly say yes or no, it's offside position or not.
Conclude?
Just to get some concluding remarks, really, to put all this in context, and it follows on really from what Johannes has said. Firstly, remember that 2 years ago, most of you sat there and we announced a 2-year trial. And many of you are saying, why has it taken football so long to get even to trying to use technology to help referees? A trial, by its necessity, involves trial and error. Every time something has gone wrong, it enables us to make our practicalities, our principles stronger. What we've had is a trial which has encompassed over 2,000 matches and an analysis of 1,000 live competitive matches of senior football, which has been a very good test for us. We're not complacent. There are areas that need to improve. Communication is one of them in stadium, and generally so people understand how a VAR system works. One of the reasons we're, as Pierluigi mentioned, introducing a rigorous implementation process to get approval is because this is far more complex than most people realize. And we want to protect football and help competitions protect themselves, that they don't start using it until they are really ready, they are really prepared, and we are satisfied that they can implement it extremely well. Many of you are focusing on England. England's had 10 matches. It's nothing. Italy has 10 matches every weekend, and they've had 10 matches every weekend since the start of the season. So has the Bundesliga. If you do something once every 3 or 4 weeks, you're not as good at it as if you all do it every week, week in, week out. And our experience shows that the more familiar the referees and VARs with the system, the better everything gets. The number of checks is reduced, the time the reviews take is reduced, the continuing mistakes are reduced. So this is why we will have this very important implementation policy and procedure and approval process. We'll launch that with a workshop in London at the end of March for competitions and national associations who want to continue using VARs and are considering using it in the future. So as a first step, they understand the complexities of this. It's not as we sometimes say, somebody sitting at home with a cup of coffee in one hand, a mobile phone in the other hand, watching TV, and giving the referee a call when something goes wrong. It is highly, highly complicated. But I just sort of take you back to just one thing about, is this a benefit for football or not? Our strapline has always been minimum interference, maximum benefit. Not no interference, because if we are going to review decisions, you can't do that in 1 second. Some reviews will continue to be lengthy, because sometimes there's more than one thing to look at. In one of our very first trial matches, excuse me, in America, there were 2 offsides, a penalty and a red card in the space of 4 seconds. They looked at 3 of them and missed the 4th, which was the mistake. So accuracy is more important than speed. But if we just finish, minimum interference, a review on average takes 55 seconds. You are only getting a review once every 3 matches. We believe that that is not bad in terms of minimum interference. Maximum benefit, if at the moment there's 1 clear and obvious mistake every 3 matches, and VAR says there's now only 1 every 19 matches, that is maximum benefit to the game. And if overall referee accuracy has gone from 93% to 98.8%, that is a great benefit. So we believe this system is delivering minimum interference, maximum benefit, but there are still improvements to be made, and we're very mindful of the need to improve it. But I think if I'd given you those figures 2 years ago and said within 2 years and 1,000 matches, there'll only be a review once every 3 matches, it'll take less than a minute, and referee accuracy levels will be 98%, 99%, you would have carried me out and put me in a white coat and said it's not possible. So whilst we accept criticism, whilst we accept that things aren't perfect, they will never be perfect in football. But the reason we are able to take a major decision today is that significant progress has been made to improve fairness in football by the use of video assistance with minimum interference in the game, minimum interference in the flow and emotion, but maximum benefit in terms of referee accuracy and something that most people forget about, improved player behaviour, as the FIFA president mentioned. Also, ultimately, this will be a weapon against match manipulation and match fixing. So it's not just about correcting mistakes, it's about improving behaviour, improving our game and making our game fairer in many, many ways. So still a lot to be done, but quite a lot has been achieved in 2 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. We wish you a good afternoon and a nice weekend if you have one.